Hi, Sean.
I talked to you yesterday.
Good. You are fantastic.
Thank you.
Yes. A great host. Show is great. Listen to his show.
Absolutely, 95.5.
One mic.
Hey, Shelly with the show live, local, topical, and relevant, my friends. You know where I'm going to start, but I got to start by telling a story. The story I'm about to tell you is just a lead-in to what I want to talk about. Obviously, the news of the day, the redistricting in Tennessee. But I want to start off with this story because it sets what's going on in Tennessee up. There's a book, came out in 1984. It's called Bloods, an oral history of African-American veterans from Vietnam, from the Vietnam War. The great Wallace Terry wrote the book. He didn't write the book because it's oral testimony. He edited the book and everything, but he put the book out. The great Wallace Terry. It's called Bloods, an oral history of the Vietnam War, as told by African-American soldiers from Vietnam. And one of the stories told by one of the veterans in this book is the story of when African-American soldiers first landed at base camp in the middle of middle of a war. And they would land at base camp coming from, straight from boot camp and everything. They were fresh, right out of training. And one of the things, two things that they would learn, that other black soldiers in Vietnam would teach these new black soldiers coming into the theater of war in Vietnam, they would teach them two things: the handshake, which you've seen in movies and different examples around the world, the elaborate handshakes that black soldiers would incorporate in Vietnam to say where they were from, what company, what city, and all of these things, right? The other thing that they would learn from other black soldiers who were already on the ground was always volunteer for the point and the rear. And all the new soldiers would always say, what do you mean? Why would I do that? Why would I do that? And they said, well, if your lieutenant doesn't already volunteer you, volunteer for it. And they wouldn't say anything more. Just listen to us. Just do as we tell you to do. Well, as second lieutenants, they were largely from West Point and ROTC and stuff like that. And many of the officers, the white officers, were predominantly white officers. There were African-American officers as well, but they were mostly white officers. Many of them had either overt racist feelings towards non-white or African-American or Hispanic or Asian or whatever soldiers, but they would have some kind of prejudices as well. Remember, we're talking about the early, mid-'60s, early 70s, right? And so many of them would say, well, yeah, go ahead, Jackson, you could take the point. Ha, 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 he's dumb. And they'd whisper to each other and stuff like that. But what the black soldiers found out very quickly in Vietnam, why they would volunteer for the point in the rear, is because the Vietnamese soldiers, the enemy, if you will, knew that there wasn't a lone soldier wandering the jungles of Vietnam. They always knew that when they saw one soldier coming, there would be the platoon would be right behind him, and they would know that, okay, that guy just went by, wait, because the platoon is coming. And they'd light up the platoon. And that's why the black soldiers would always volunteer for the point or the rear. And the largely white officers, with some with openly overt racist feelings of black soldiers, would let them go. Yeah, go ahead. I tell this story because it's an example, a small example of how racism and evil intentions and things that you think are going to work out for you, but you have malcontent, you have hatred in your heart, will blow back on you. See, you're not doing it for the right reasons. And it happens throughout life. It's called the universe. Some people call it God. Some people call it something else. I call it the universe. When you have hatred in your heart for other people, nothing ever is going to work out for you. If you set out to do something towards other people, it's never going to work out for you because the universe will always make sure it doesn't. And I use that small example from the book Bloods, an oral history of black soldiers in Vietnam. Now, I take you to Tennessee, and what happened today? I understand it. The Supreme Court said no more gerrymandering. It's not redistricting, it's gerrymandering. We know that's what it is. No more gerrymandering based on race. Okay, that's fine. That's what the Supreme Court said. So now Tennessee just broke up the only district That's Democrat. And in today's world, if you have a Democrat district, it's probably going to be either majority African American or majority minority, as it's told, or as it's said, or it's going to be many in there, 30, 40, 45%. So you can say you're doing it for partisan reasons. We want Democrats out. But you're really, in this day and age, because African Americans vote 90% Democrat, you're really doing it for that reason. And you're taking away power from people. And I don't know that this district will stand a Supreme Court challenge. I don't think it will. Because the Supreme Court also knows that partisan redistricting is racial. Because they're going to find out that this new district, these two new districts, this new district in Tennessee is going to be probably 70% white. But we'll find out. We'll see. But there is some feeling on the part of Democrats that this is racially motivated. 1961, May 4th, the first Freedom Riders left Washington, D.C. on a Greyhound bus to challenge why the South wasn't following the federal law of desegregation of interstate commerce, interstate bus lines. May 4th, 3 days ago, my mother's birthday, 1961. They left for D.C. When they got into Alabama, they were attacked. Buses were firebombed, and set on fire. State troopers beat with billy clubs many of those Freedom Riders. It's not May 4th, 1961 was the first Freedom Ride. So now 65 years later, we're here. Now gerrymandering throughout the South, congressional lines to make states almost wholly Republican. Now, I'm not saying it's racist. I'm not going to go that far. I am saying, however, it looks that way. Right? It looks that way. I'm not going to say it is. I'm not going to put any kind of evil intent on the Republican Party. I vote with the Republican Party, so I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, but I will say it looks bad. It looks bad. And if that is your intent, to take power away from other Americans by diluting their voting, then it's ill intent. And it's going to blow back on you. And that is my fear as a Republican voter. It's going to blow back on us. The same way in which second lieutenants would allow black soldiers to go at the front and the point and the rear in Vietnam, thinking that they were too stupid to know anything better, not knowing that the point guy and the rear guy were the safest men on patrol. The same thing's going to happen here. What happens next? I'll tell you what happens next. There's going to be a massive voter registration campaign put forth nationally by many in the Democrat Party. I played for you Killer Mike talking about it. Roland Martin is talking about it. There's going to be a massive voter registration drive. Because you see what happens is Trump's approval rating, 37%. So if you're in Tennessee right now, unless it's a plus 16, plus 18, plus 20, plus 22. If you're a Republican right now in Tennessee, and you're in these two new districts, 5 and 8, you're looking at a plus 6 to 8 Republican. With a massive voter registration drive, that comes down to 1 to 2 points for Republicans. So where Tennessee might have had one safe Democrat district headed by Steve Cohen, a white guy, by the way, we don't want to get into that. Democrats can pick up 2 seats now in Tennessee, seats that they drew to be largely Republican, but not by a lot. In a midterm election, ask any political scientist, ask any map drawer, in a midterm election with the party in charge, Republicans at the Senate, in the House, and the presidency, anything under 10 is a toss-up. Let me say that again. Any seat under 10, when the party in charge during the midterm, and the party in charge, let's say it's now Republican White House, Republican Senate, any seat under 10 points is a toss-up because of history, because of people being not enamored with the current party in charge and people wanting change. Add to that, you have a president with a 37% approval rating, and every Tennessee state legislature just said they did this for Donald Trump. Let me say with Marsha Blackburn. This is Marsha Blackburn talking, and she tweeted out, where is it right here? I should have it right here. Where is it? Why can't I find it? Why don't I highlight these things when I print them? That's what I should be doing. Well, anyway, where is it here? I thought I printed it. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I don't have it here. But Marsha Blackburn essentially said, yes, great job, Tennessee legislature. We're ushering in the Trump golden era. That's what she said on Twitter when they voted to accept the new maps. Well, first I got to ask Senator Blackburn, what is this golden era? What does that mean? Are you talking about the economy? Because gas prices are high, food prices are high, people can't buy or sell a home right now. The stock market, which just reached 50,000 for the first time in a long time, is driven largely by, according to Wall Street News, is driven largely by 4 or 5 individual stocks, not by the market, but by 4 or 5 individual stocks. So what is this golden era that you speak of, Senator Blackburn? But I digress. The blowback is going to be, my friends, is that there's going to be a massive drive for Democrats to register voters and turn them out. Because all we did right here was poke an already angry bear. The bear was already angry. They were out of power. Didn't have any power in the House, didn't have any power in the Senate, didn't have any power in the White House. All we did was poke a bear, that Democrat machine, and they're going to turn it on us. And that's going to be the blowback. But let me say this also, that the hyperbole by Democrats is too much. They're taking away our right to vote. It's too much. It's not. No one took away your right to vote. And if you had power to begin with, this wouldn't have been able to be done. The power that they speak about on the Democrat side, this black voting power, well, where is it? If someone can redraw a district and take your power away, then you never had any power to begin with. You had power largely in these loud voices that couldn't do anything. And you spent that time in a minority position, as we use the case in Tennessee, as Democrats in a minority position to yell and scream and call names, as opposed to working across the aisle and trying to get things done for your constituents. Because you can't define power by saying, oh, they took away our power. Well, if someone can take away your power, then you never had it to begin with by definition. So the Democrats are hyperbole-filled, but the Republicans are overreacting to what the Supreme Court ruled throughout the South. 65 years after the first freedom rides were on May 4th, 1961. It's going to be interesting, my friends, and it's an interesting time to be on talk radio, I'll tell you, especially as a black Republican, because I'm paying attention to all of this, and I want to see how it plays out. And my prediction is that what was a tight midterm, Democrats, +5 in November is now going to be Democrats +10 or 12. Because the Democrats are about to fund and go on the largest voter registration drive in the history of this country. And look at the Republican Party, as the base is largely not regular voters who are unhappy with what's going on. It's a recipe for a blowout. So Shelley Winter Show, 404-872-0750, 1-800-WSB-TALK. We will be right back.